It's not really cheery news. I know that yesterday we brought you updates from the meeting which the Aviation and Aerospace Minister, Festus Keyamo, had with airline operators, ministry representatives, that's regulators and other stakeholders. You know, in the build-up to the concern around possible suspension of flights because of the cost of Jet A1 fuel. So there was another meeting yesterday, a follow-up meeting to the previous one. Now, for context, the previous one had the minister saying, well, the president has approved some sort of easing when it comes to the monies owed the government by the airline operators, you know, parking charges and the rest. So for a lot of people, they thought, okay, then we won't have issues with this suspension. At least their costs will reduce while they battle the cost of Jet A1. But then yesterday's meeting seemed to paint yet another possibly grim picture in the coming days, because there was a hint that the airline operators may have to increase fares for the coming days, perhaps a week, to break even, because they are in a very tricky situation. So we'll take a listen to the minister, what he said after that meeting. They will bring you more. And this is Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo.
To the aviation agencies, FAN, NCA, NAMA. So this evening, Mr. President has definitely approved a 30% discount. As of yesterday, we didn't know the number because Mr. President wanted to consider it. But this evening, Mr. President just communicated to us through the Chief of Staff, whilst we were even at the meeting, that he is granting a clear 30% discount to all the airlines for this purpose. Thank you.
So who pays for this discount? Is it the discount coming in form of subsidy? Or?
No, that's not subsidy. The debts they are owing, to the aviation agents, for example, for parking charges for FAN, parking on the aircraft, navigational charges to NAMA, NCA. You know, they have some backlogs to pay.
Yeah.
Mr. President said cut 30% off.
Yeah, so you can help them with this process.
So it's a clear 30% Mr. President has granted.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Minister.
We discovered that it's only in Nigeria that we have about 270 or 250% increase, while in other parts of the world, including African countries, about 70%. This is why the president and the minister called for this meeting, for us to meet with the marketers face to face. We've deliberated very hotly today, and they've also shared their own, pain points. We've shared our own. We are going to go back and wait for the outcome of their own deliberation with their regulators. And when they do that, we expect that in the next 48 hours, something drastic is done, because no airline in this country will fly in the next 7 days if something is not done. Not because they don't want to fly, but because the pricing, not only of our tickets, but the pricing of the fuel product that we need to fly in the first place may not be available to us, because we don't have the money borrowed at 35% and 30% to continue to pay only fuel marketers to fly. But the good news, like yesterday, was that the president is listening, and this is very encouraging to us, airline. We are very hopeful. The country should be hopeful, because the president, even while we are there, made a call to his honorable minister, and we are grateful to him, because we know at the end of the day there will be a consensus that will, help everyone, both the marketers, the airlines, and the Nigerian flying public. Thank you.
That's the CEO of Air Peace, Mr. Alan Onyema. So unpleasant for the passengers, definitely, but for the operators for whom he's speaking, they say this is a necessary evil in that sense. I mean, just when you thought that the airfares couldn't go any higher, guys, they say it will even go higher than that. Typical of the aviation industry, because they keep going higher and higher.
Well, it's curious, because that meeting, which is from Wednesday, was made after, a delegation from the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, airline operators, oil marketers, amongst other stakeholders, engaged with the Minister of Petroleum. And so perhaps they couldn't reach a resolution on possible reduction in price of Jet A1 fuel to airline operators. By the way, the meeting from yesterday as well, where the minister announced that inevitably airline fares will go up because of the challenges that the airline operators are encountering, was also with stakeholders. So apparently there is no middle ground that has been reached yet between airline operators and, of course, oil marketers in the industry. Well, we cannot discountenance the challenges that have necessitated this, being the conflict in the Middle East. But if indeed there is a Shylock element to the operations of airline operators, as spoken to by a stakeholder there, that in other countries, airline ticket fares rise by only 70%, even amid the challenges. What is significantly different with the Nigeria case, where there's a 250% increase? Don't forget that even in these countries, the indices, in terms of human development and other, economic indicators are fairer. If you look at housing, if you look at transportation in other modes, if you look at, inflation, the human indicators are fairer. So why is it significantly different here in Nigeria? So those are the questions that we would ask in probing this recent development. And this is certainly going to be a dip, create a bigger dip in pockets, especially for those who are not necessarily higher up on the social ladder, but have to resort inevitably to traveling via air because of the concern of traveling via road. Guys.
I think the way they are approaching the problem may not actually solve the problem. What is the root of the problem? Crude oil. That is the root. As of 2 days ago, or yesterday, as of this morning, the price of crude oil has actually gone up, so maybe as high as $106. That's for Brent, $106 or $105 per barrel. And it keeps going up and down. In fact, some are projecting that it may stabilize around 90 or 80. I saw something from Goldman Sachs today say if the war ends, we may see some relief. So everybody is forecasting depending on the mood of the Americans, the President of America, Iran, and Israel. So but we have to prepare and brace up for all of this volatility. Now, why is it that the price of whatever is high now is high? Is because of the knock-on effect. The airlines are complaining that the price for Jet A1 fuel is quite high. And where did they get Jet A1 fuel? From the marketers. Where did the marketers get the fuel from? From the refinery. So I think I commend the minister, as always, for always being on his feet, engaging stakeholders. He never shies away from his responsibility. So the 30% discount is a great one. But I think they should actually have a conversation with the refinery, the biggest one being the Dangote refinery, to see what can be done at the production level, just like what they are doing for the aviation sector. Is it discount? Is it reduction in levy? It is whatever can be done that will have a knock-on effect. This is like solving the problem from the top. Why don't you solve it from the bottom and see how it goes from here? That's my own simple, as the way we look at it. The fuel, Jet A1 fuel did not just go up. It went up because of crude oil. So the man who refines the crude oil, or the man who even sells the crude oil to the refiner, can we begin to talk about the premiums that he has to pay? Can we begin to talk about maybe several other things? The experts understand this thing. So when you sort it out from the supply of the crude oil to the refinery, and the refinery can make adjustments which will affect the marketers will make adjustments which will affect the airlines, and all of us who buy the product. It may not go quite low. It may just go maybe slightly, maybe $100, 100 naira or 200 naira lesser, as we speak. Because if you look at the charts between February and March, crude oil price went up by 45%. So there's an argument as to if the core product, which is the very most important component of petroleum product, went up by, let's even assume it's 50%, what should be the consequential increase in terms of percentage from that point on? That is the mathematics we need to calculate. Is it possible that it goes up by 100? Is it possible that it goes up by 200 as being said by these airline operators, or there's something we don't really understand?
But Jeffrey, both petrol and Jet A1 fuel and other products in that mix, they're byproducts of crude oil, right?
Yep.
So what affects petrol will affect Jet A1 fuel if an agreement is reached between the oil marketers, the refineries, and of course those who are in that mix, perhaps the labor unions. And so if there's a subsidy for production at that level, there'll be a knock-on effect, as you have said, and it will impact on the price of Jet A1 fuel all the way down. So it's not just, you know, airline operators that are faced with this challenge. Nigerians are also at the bottom end, at the receiving end of the increase in pump price. So there should, in my view, be a larger you know, negotiation delegation. And I believe labor unions are also supposed to be in that mix.
No, that's why I'm saying that the conversation should move from the airline operators, because their argument is that, okay, for instance, our fare went from, say, 700 and something to 1,000 to, so it's almost 100%. Because if it goes to 1,000 for this one, they are saying theirs went from 900 to 3,000, they're saying 300%. That is astronomical. It will cause a shock in the sector. I'm saying leave all that debate. Go to the man who sells the crude. Have a conversation with the man who sells the crude and the man who refines the crude. And if we're able to work out a modality, we have the yam and the knife. We can do something, and it may be able to taper the prices a bit down. Then the knock-on effect is just going to be natural. Whether you're buying PMS, you're buying jet fuel, or you're buying kerosene, whatever it is, diesel, all of that is going to have a knock-on effect. So the president is the Minister of Petroleum. This is his job. This is where he's and the reason why I always commend Festus Keyamo is that, the Honorable Minister, is that since all of this happened, have you seen Eneke Lokpobri speak as often as he should speak, or Ekperikpe, or that of gas? Have you seen them speak? These are the people that, the president is busy, yeah, and perhaps they have a reason for domiciling the ministry under him. But these are his foot soldiers, both gas and oil. What are they saying? I've not heard. Maybe I've not seen.
So if petrol moves from 750 naira per litre all the way to 1,245, 300 naira per litre, depending on where you are, and Jet A1 fuel moves from below 1,000 naira to 3,000 naira per litre, the margin is rather wide. So why has Jet A1 fuel become that expensive?
I don't have that answer, but I'm sure there is an explanation to it. Why it will, I don't think I have that answer, but I'm sure there's an explanation if you look at how these things are distillated and refined.
Well, I'm not really expecting much because we wanted them to tinker around the price of petrol. Nothing has happened. So is it Jet A1 that they see? Oh, it's elites that fly. They should be able to bear the cost, even though they are trying to give a 30% reduction in whatever is payable to the government. I don't see this really moving the needle as much. The prices will go up, as they have said, if Jet A1 doesn't come down. But while we pay attention to what's happening in the aviation sector, at least the flight should not stop. Okay, the flight should not stop. It's very expensive. It might be expensive if they're not creative enough. We have to speak to politics, and we've seen a lot of meetings here and there. But this latest meeting is particularly curious, and it's between the Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, and Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party. So, no, not the Labour Party, I'm used to that, of the ADC, the coalition. Well, he was Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 election. So Mr. Peter Obi visited the governor of Bauchi State, Mr. Bala Mohammed, at Ramad House in Bauchi. And you know, when the governor of Bauchi State was speaking, he described himself as a freelance politician. Yes. Now, what does that mean? Well, you probably won't be surprised, particularly because politics in Nigeria has now taken on different dimensions. There's anti-party politics, party activities happening openly. There is, I belong to this party, but I'm supporting this other party. There's defection here and there. So the latest is this term, freelance politician. So I know about free agents when it comes to footballers or their managers. It means that, well, you may belong to one team, but you are open to moving to another team, or you don't even have any team at all, and you're open to just going wherever it is. But I don't know, guys. Where exactly would we get, I would say, enough is enough? Right, let us have values. Let us have strong values that we stand for. But for the politicians, it's all well and good. As far as you have your support base and I can tap into it, that is great. So for Mr. Peter Obi, the ADC, this is great if they are able to harness whatever political value that he has.
I think perception is quite critical. Perhaps is why they are doing their best to get in Bala Mohammed, who is also trying to survive politically. He's trying to maybe get to the Senate, also trying to, find out who is going to be successor, because it's important to these governors, and everything in between that is critical, because as we speak, there is no ADC governor. Even the Labour Party still has a governor. So these are times for horse trading, politicking. He has a right to say what he wants to say. He's not running for a second term. What he's looking for now is life after being a governor. What will his political future look like? So he can't gamble it. He wants to be sure that whoever is aligning with has a chance of winning. And then if the person wins, he also has a seat on the table in that victory. So there's no crime in what he's doing. In terms of how politics in Nigeria is played, we're tired of talking about them crisscrossing and then carpet crossing. It's a culture here. So we've accepted it the way it is for now until we mature out of this. It's not just, that's not just the only party that this thing is happening to. Even the APC itself, there are some things going on that is causing friction within the party. I understand some of the senators wanted some level of, assurance from the president for them to return to the Senate. You know what happened in the last election? A lot of them did not come back because of the, Labour Party effects and the OB effects. So this time, now that there's a bit, maybe solid ground for them to some extent, they want some guarantees. But you understand the president may be telling them, the governors control the structure. You speak with your governors, because the president wants his re-election assured. So I can tell you, for a state like Delta State, there's going to be issues. Ifeanyi Okowa is coming back, wants to come back to the Senate from Delta North. Ned Nwoko wants to come back. Dafinoni wants to come back from Central. Former DSP, Omar Agege, wants to come back as well. We can go on and on across several states where some of this back and forth are actually happening. In fact, some governors have nominated their successor, but the stakeholders in the state are saying, no, that's not going to happen. We didn't consult us like Nasarawa. So it's not Uhuru yet, even for the APC. So there's nothing unnatural. You know what I'm waiting for, guys? When they are done with all this thing, I'm waiting for May 30th, by the grace of God. When they are, at that time, we're not going to be confused of who is where. We're just going to deal with the persons that have been eventually, nominated by the parties.
Jeffrey, all of those dynamics that you have analyzed, they would definitely play out, not just in Bauchi, not just in Delta, but, across many states of the Federation. And the simple reason being the shock element of the 2023 election, where we didn't have one candidate that usually delivered 12 million votes. But, we now saw that the votes were distributed between the candidate of the APC, now current president, the candidate of the PDP, and the new kid on the block, or if you like, the sensation from the 2023 election, and the candidate of the LP at that time, Mr. Peter Obi, who is now in the ADC. Now, Mr. Bala Mohammed is crucial in all of this, because Bauchi delivered, I think, 426,000 votes to the PDP in the 2023 presidential election. And so he appears to be a beautiful bride at this point in time. But who would he work with? And that is perhaps why it's been a difficult decision for him to make. This is not the first time the ADC have met with Governor Bala Mohammed. Months before now, or weeks before now, if you like, Mr. Peter Obi led an ADC delegation to meet with him. And right after, we saw a delegation from the APC also meeting with Mr. Bala Mohammed. And don't forget that after that first meeting with the ADC, Mr. Mohammed had announced that, look, conclusions have been made, and before the end of that week we would see, a definite decision that would be made. But that decision didn't come through, because the APC now then met with Mr. Bala Mohammed. So which way would he go? And we've also been reminded, by Mr. Nyesom Wike that he didn't want to work with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar at that time in 2023, who is now one of the leaders of the ADC coalition. So it would be interesting who is able to succeed to pay the bride price for this beautiful bride in Bauchi State amongst the political actors. But of course, the coming days would be very interesting as far as politicking is concerned. But we have the next bit already on standby, Kadi.
Oh, yes. So time will tell. We'll see who the bride is. Is it the people that will vote, or the politicians who are the leaders? I will take a quick break now, and when we return, the the front pages are up for you with Mr. Dayo Akintobi. Stay with us.